Thank you very much for joining me this evening. My name is Peggy Kurtz, and before we begin, I want to mention that we are recording this meeting, but we've set the settings so that you should not be visible in the recordings. So I'm going to share my screen. One second. Okay, so good evening. Again, thank you for joining me this evening. My name is Peggy Kurtz. I'm here this evening to explain the Hudson Valley Community Power Program, a clean energy program that the Village of Rhinebeck is exploring. I'm the community coordinator for Jewel Community Power, which is a division of Jewel Assets. Jewel Assets is the program administrator for the Hudson Valley Community Power Program. The Hudson Valley Community Power Program is a community-based program that makes renewable electricity available at competitive rates. And the program currently includes 12 municipalities in the Hudson Valley. The village is exploring this program. They're considering participation. And if the Village of Rhinebeck decides to participate, the program would launch in the summer of 2025. So this is a formal statement, and I'll explain it more as I go through the presentation. The Village of Rhinebeck is exploring the option to participate in an upcoming bid for electricity supply and electricity supply contract through the Hudson Valley Community Power Program. This program would provide eligible residents and small businesses with the benefits of renewable electricity supply at competitive rates. This is just an overview of the topics that I'll be going over. I'll be talking about the type of program, which is called the Community Choice Aggregation Program, or you'll hear me refer to it as CCA for short. I'll talk about the benefits, the role of Central Hudson, I'll explain your bill, so you know how to look for it on your bill. Talk about the enrollment process and some of the other logistics, and then I'll open it up for your questions. So the aim of the program is to make it easier for more people to access renewable electricity supply at competitive rates. When we talk about renewable electricity this evening, what we're talking about is electricity that is generated by hydropower from dams or from wind power. Some of the benefits include, again, quick overview, clean renewable electricity, competitive rates, strong consumer protection, and more choice for consumers. None of your current, I'm just admitting somebody new, we're just talking about the benefits here. More choice for consumers. None of your current choices go away. In fact, you will have additional choices through the Village program. The Hudson Valley Community Power Program is what's called a Community Choice Aggregation Program, or CCA for short. Essentially, with CCA programs, municipalities create a large buying group through which residents and small businesses may purchase their electricity supply. And these programs enable municipalities, sorry, again, admitting somebody, these programs enable municipalities to leverage the buying power of the large group, usually thousands or tens of thousands of households, to negotiate competitive rates for eligible residents and small businesses. If you move into the Village of Rhinebeck today, Central Hudson will automatically be your electricity supply provider by default. This program shifts the choice of default supplier to the village so that your elected officials can make the choice that's right for your community. The village can select renewable electricity as the default electricity supply and do so at competitive rates through the large buying group. CCA programs were authorized by the Public Service Commission in 2016, and they are overseen by the Commission. In 2019, in response to climate change, New York State passed groundbreaking climate legislation, which mandates an unprecedented transformation of the state's electric grid. The electric grid must be powered 70%. Sorry, second. Okay. The electric grid must be powered by New York State law. I'm just repeating for the person who just joined us. Must be powered 70% by renewable electricity by 2030. At this point, that's only 5 years away, less than 5 years away, and it must be 100% carbon free by 2040. Without local action, the state cannot meet these goals, which will ultimately help to protect our communities and our own families. The program we're discussing today helps communities take a major step in the direction of these goals for renewable electricity. And in fact, state regulators recognize CCA programs with renewable electricity as one of the most powerful climate actions a community can take. CCA is a growing movement across the country and in New York State. Municipalities have been participating in the Hudson Valley Community Power Program since 2019, and multiple municipalities are hoping to begin their fourth CCA contract this summer. Since the first contact in 2019, Hudson Valley Community Power has avoided 90,266 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalents through the purchase of New York State renewable electricity. So now let's talk a little bit about how this actually works in terms of logistics for consumers. A second. So Central Hudson remains your utility. In New York State, the utility no longer generates the electricity. The utility essentially has become the middleman, delivering the electricity to the consumer. What changes with CCA is the source of the supply, all the way on the left of this slide. Instead of the utility purchasing electricity for you from power plants, the electricity is supplied through the CCA program, if you decide to participate, with the option for renewable energy. With CCA, Central Hudson continues to deliver the electricity, repair and maintain the lines, and bill the customers. They are still the ones to call in the event of power outages, which should be no more frequent than before. So you can see the same distinction between supply and delivery on your electric bill. I'm going to show you what your electric bill will look like if the your municipality, if the village decides to participate, and if you decide to participate. So this is page 2 of a Central Hudson bill for a past participant in the Hudson Valley, in a previous round of the Hudson Valley Community Power Program. Within the electricity portion of your bill, there are 2 subsections. So at the top, in the green box, we've dropped in a green and red box that are not usually there, but in the top portion of your bill, you see the electricity portion of your bill. And this portion does not change because Central Hudson continues to deliver your electricity if you participate even if you participate in the program. What does change is what's in the red box here in the supply portion of your bill. That's where you will see changes if the village decides to participate and if you decide to participate in the program. So you can see in the red box for this past participant, you can see the name of the supplier that was chosen in a bidding process, and the name was Direct Energy. And a little bit, okay. For those of you who are joining late, I'm glad to go over, we're probably about halfway through, and I'm glad to repeat or go over the information that you've missed after, once we do the Q&A. We're talking about that electricity, and that this affects only the supply portion of your bill. This is not the utility Central Hudson continues to be your utility. So in a little bit lower in that same box, you see cost for electricity supply charge. And here you see the total amount of energy used for 761 kilowatt hours by this particular household for this billing period. The rate for that billing period was the rate for this program, the rate for the program at that time was 6.361 cents per kilowatt hour. And when you multiply the rate times the usage, you come up with $48.41, which you can see a little bit lower in that box is total electricity supply charges. So your total electric bill would be the delivery charges plus the supply charges, but the total supply charges were $48.41, what you see in that supply portion. So the delivery charges go to the utility and the supply charges are part of the CCA program. They are both calculated based on how much electricity you use in that particular month, in that particular billing period, and that's measured in kilowatt hours. So now let's talk a little bit about the enrollment process. Most Central Hudson customers are eligible to participate. CCA programs are opt-out programs. That means that those who are eligible are automatically enrolled in the program after receiving, but can opt out with no fees at any time. Every eligible household will receive a mailing. Which gives them the opportunity, gives them the information and the opportunity to opt out with no fees at any time. Okay, so most Central Hudson customers are eligible, and that includes both residents, homeowners, and renters that have their own that pay their own Central Hudson accounts, and small businesses. But these are what you see here on the screen is some Central Hudson customers categories who will not receive the mailing because they are considered not eligible. And these include customers who have already contracted with a third-party electricity supplier or ESCO or energy service company. A second category is those who have placed a block on their account. These are customers who ask the utility to ensure they are not enrolled in supply from third parties. HEAP recipients or Home Energy Assistance Program participants, customers on time of use accounts, larger commercial customers with demand account meters, and I can talk about any of those categories in the Q&A if it applies to you or if you're interested in participating in the program. So eligible customers will receive a mailing, as I mentioned, about the program, a packet in advance of the program launching, and that mailing will give you 3 easy ways to opt out if that is your preference. There are and the first easy way to opt out is with a postage paid reply card. It's really a card with a postage paid envelope that's in that same packet. You can also call the helpline. You can also, and I'll give you that number in a minute. You can also unenroll yourself through the online enrollment or unenrollment form. You can also change your option within the program through number 2 or 3, either the helpline or the online enrollment form. For example, your municipality may choose to offer a couple of different renewable electricity supply options, which I can explain more in the Q&A. Okay, now let's talk about the timeline. If the village decides to participate in an electricity supply bid through the program, there will be more outreach, including another set of meetings. We'll know the program rate at that time and the term of the program, the length of the program, and then a mailing goes out to all eligible households and small businesses. That packet will also provide the program rates, the benefits, the terms and conditions, frequently asked questions, information about more information sessions. It will also, as I mentioned, include the information about how to opt out, including that reply card with postage paid envelope, all of that, if that is your preference. That will be followed by a 30-day opt-out period. Note that anyone can opt out at any time during the program with no exit fees. So the question comes, what is the difference between this initial 30-day opt-out period and opting out afterwards? The difference between the initial period and opting out after the program begins is that once the 30-day period is over, if you have not opted out, you will automatically be moved into the program. If you opt out after the opt-out period, it will take 1 or 2 billing cycles to leave the program and return to supply from the utility. Also, if you opt out during the opt-out period, you will not be enrolled in the program at all. After the 30-day opt-out period, the program will launch, and then on your next bill after the launch date, after the 30-day opt-out period, the program will launch, and then on your next bill after the launch date, if you are participating, you should see the name of the new supplier in the supply portion of your bill and the electricity supply rate, again, in that part of the bill that I showed you on page 2 of a sample Central Hudson bill. So now I'm going to go through some frequently asked questions, and then I'll open it up for your questions. Does this program replace your utility company? No, you continue to pay your utility bill, and Central Hudson remains responsible for delivery, maintenance of the electric grill, and billing. Does this impact the reliability of your electricity? No. Central Hudson continues to deliver your electricity and provides the same service whether you participate in the program or not. Will this program save you money? Savings are not guaranteed. When people ask us, will this program save me money? What they're really asking for is a comparison with the utility rates, but utility rates change from month to month. They're not posted ahead of time. And so we have no way of knowing what the rates will be what the utility rates will be ahead of time. What if you want to change your supply choice? Once the program launches, you can, or before the program launches, you can call the helpline or fill out the enrollment change form on the website to change your supply selection, opt out or opt back into the program, again, with no fees or penalties at any time. Can you participate if you have your own solar panels or if you participate in community solar or community hydropower? Yes, even if you use solar power or participate in community solar or community hydropower, you are still required to have a supplier on your Central Hudson bill to cover any electricity that's not provided by your solar or hydropower. What happens when the program ends, when the contract ends? The village may choose to renew participation in the program, and if not, you will automatically switch back to Central Hudson selecting supply on your behalf. I like to end with the benefits. There's the opportunity for at least 50% renewable electricity. I can explain more in the Q&A difference between what 50% actually means. Competitive rates, strong consumer protection, no individual contracts, and no exit fees at any time. And oops, I'm sorry, back up. Okay, this is our contact information, which I'm going to read for anybody who's calling in on the phone. The helpline number is open Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. You can always call out of those hours and leave a message and we'll call you back. I just want to mention also, we never put people on hold. Again, leave a message and we'll call you back. The number is 845-859-9099. Again, 845-859-9099. The email is info@hudsonvalleycommunitypower.com, and the website is www.hudsonvalleycommunitypower.com. And now I'm going to stop sharing so I can take a look and see if there's anything in the chat. You should also be able to okay, you should also be able to unmute yourselves to ask questions. Okay, first question is, you mentioned that one of the benefits of this program is strong consumer protection. Could you give me an example of what that looks like? So when I say strong consumer protection, I guess there's a few different aspects to this. So one of them is there's no contract for consumers. And there's also, of course, no exit fees at any time. There's also there's the rates will most likely be fixed rates, at least until now. They have been. So you don't have to worry about coming in at one rate and then possibly having the rate change suddenly, which can happen with a variable rate. So I think those are the main things. It can obviously give you cost protection if it turns out to be less expensive than the utility rate. Is Jewel a nonprofit, and how is Jewel funded? So those are good questions. So Jewel is not a nonprofit. Jewel is a for-profit company. Jewel principals pioneered the first operational CCA program in New York State in Westchester County. It's still going. I'm just going to admit one more person. Okay. Okay, I just want to mention for the person who just joined that I'm glad to stay on to answer more questions or to kind of, after the Q&A ends, you did miss quite a bit of the presentation, so you may have quite a few questions. So going back, Jewel Principals pioneered the first operational CCA program in New York State in Westchester County in 2017. That program is still running. I believe close to 2/3 of Westchester communities are participating in it. Before that time, before CCA, Jewel had focused on aggregating, did exist as a company, and it was focusing on aggregating small energy efficiency projects such that they became attractive to investors and more projects would be completed. Jewel continues to facilitate innovative financing for energy efficiency and renewables through work in Europe as well. The second part of that question was with, I'm sorry, okay, some of the questions. How is Jewel funded? So Jewel is funded through a fee that's paid by the supplier. It is per kilowatt hour, and it amounts to about $1.30 per month per household. Obviously, it depends on the usage for that household. However, important point is that everything is included in that rate that you will see. If there are no additional or hidden fees or charges, so the suppliers have kind of baked that into the rate that you will see in the end. Do the green energy suppliers have excess capacity to provide power? If you're asking whether they have the energy now or will have it going forward, the answer is yes, they do. The purchase of the energy of the renewable energy for the electricity supply and the RECs is done at the time of contracting. So yes, it definitely, we will be purchased ahead of time. I've been with Clean Choice for years. Okay. And again, I just want to mention, I know another person just joined. I'll be glad to stay on after with Q&A to answer your questions. Or to go back through slides if needed. I've been with Clean Choice for years. Will I not receive the mailing? Yes, that's correct. You will not receive the mailing. So people who are households or small businesses that are currently in third-party supply contracts or ESCOs or energy service companies are considered not eligible. sorry, just 1 second. Let me just screen back. Um, and so they will not receive the mailing. However, if you are interested in participating, you can, you can opt into the program. What you would need to do is you might want to compare the rates, take a look at the terms of the current contract that you're in with Clean Choice. Is it 50% or is it 100% renewable electricity? Is it 100% New York State? Is it out of state? What is the cost for what is the rate that you're paying compared to the rate that you're being offered through the village program? Is there an exit fee? That's another one. You should ask, you can call on page 2 of your bill, you'll see the 800 or the toll-free number for Clean Choice. You can call them and ask, is there an exit fee? And then you can make your decision. If you decide that you do want to leave Clean Choice and participate in the village program, you can ask them either not to renew it, or you can ask them to terminate your contract. Again, it will take 1 or 2 billing cycles probably to leave that ESCO. And then you can call the helpline and ask to be opted. You can opt into the program. And you will need your Central Hudson account number. Is the rate guaranteed for the contract period? So most likely the answer is yes. I believe the answer is yes. Until now, the rates have been fixed. And yes, they will be fixed rates. So I guess the next question is, what is the contract period? And that's something that will be negotiated with the bidder. So we do not have that information at this time, but it's very likely that it will be a guaranteed rate for that period. And the rate can vary from anything from what I've seen so far, from 1 year, 12 months, to could be 18 months, 2 years, can also be 3 years. I think more recently I've seen 1 to 2 years. Is solar one of the power sources or just hydro and wind? For these CCA contracts, at least at this time, it is hydro and wind. There's very little utility scale, I'm sorry, solar. I think it makes up only, it's 2 or 3% that's currently built out for utility scale solar. I currently have a fixed rate contract with Green Mountain, even though past rates are not an indicator of future rates. Can I get your historical rates for comparison purposes to what Green Mountains have been? You certainly can look at what the current rate is, but you should know more pretty soon about what the rate will be going forward. The current rate in the Central Hudson program for 100% renewable energy is 12.24 cents per kilowatt hour. And for 50%, and again, I think it would be good if I stop and explain what 50% means, is 11.24 cents per kilowatt hour. That's in the current round of the program. Maybe this is a good time while I think of it to explain, to share my screen again, to explain. Okay, I'm just going to briefly, if you've just joined, again, I'm glad to stay on to go back through the parts of the presentation that you'd like to hear or to answer more questions. So what we're talking about right now is I wanted to talk about the 50% New York State renewable and the 100% New York State renewable, so that you understand it, because many communities, each community will choose its own default option, and it will most likely be either 50% renewable New York State electricity supply or 100% New York State renewable supply. And I believe all of the communities in the current program offer us at least one more option. So you might get the default of 50 or 100, and then the other one is offered as an option. So I just wanted to explain a little bit more. So I'm going to read the slide. 50% New York State renewable option means that 50% of your electricity supply is matched by renewable energy certificates or RECs that are provided by New York State renewable power plants, hydropower, wind, or solar. The remaining 50% is matched by RECs sourced from other U.S. renewable electricity sources that are not tracked or verified by the New York State Department of Public Service. The 50% renewable option is not counted as 100% renewable by New York State. 100% New York State renewable option means that 100% of your electricity supply is matched by renewable energy certificates or RECs provided by New York State renewable power plants, hydropower, wind, or solar. So I just wanted to explain that because I felt that that might be helpful to you. Okay, I asked if I can get historical rate. Wait a minute. Okay, before that, just 1 second. Is Jewel a public or private company? So I don't know, you may have missed my answer a little bit earlier. So Jewel is, oh, no, you asked whether somebody asked whether it was a nonprofit. That is a good question, and I don't know the answer to that question about whether it's a public or private company. I'm sorry about that. It's not my field, but I can find that out for you if you want to put your email into the chat. I can find that out to you. Where is the public company based? And that is in Westchester in New York State. If it is not a public company, who owns it? Again, I don't have okay. I don't have those answers for you. You can look at jewelassets.com. I am guessing that information would be posted there. But I can also find out more for you if you want to put you can put in the chat your email directly to me, and I can get answers to those questions. I asked if I can get historical rates just to see. Okay, I don't have the exact rates in front of me for the historical rates for the program, but what I can do is again share my screen and show you a graph. So maybe that would be helpful. Perhaps I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. So what you see here is the 3 previous rounds of the program. So what you can see is that in the first contract, and I know this doesn't compare it to green energy, that's something, I'm sorry, Green Mountain, that's something that the person who asked the question would have to do for themselves, because I don't know what Green Mountain's, we don't know what Green Mountain's previous rates were that in your contracts, which would depend on when you had signed it, for example. But you can see the first contract was from July 2019 through June 2021, and there were a number of months. Oh, I'm sorry, I should explain that the red zigzag line is for the utility variable rates. The green dotted line is for the 100% renewable rate in the program. In the most recent round, it was added in, and another rate was added in, and that was for 50% renewable, and that's in yellow. And the blue dotted line is for the CCA standard rate, which has a much lower, so that's a standard rate that's offered within the standard in quotation marks within the program, which has a much lower percentage of renewable electricity. So in the previous round, looking at the previous round, you can see the zigzag line, or zigzag line going up above and below the utility rates. So you can see that there were some months when the CCA rate was less than the utility, but overall the utility rates were slightly less expensive. In the second contract, which was from July 2021 through July 22, there were significant savings to, I'm sorry, from here up until here, there were significant savings to participants in the program. The current contract started in July of 2023 and will run through the end of June of 2025. I want to make sure you can see that part of it. At this point in time, participants have paid more within the program than the utility rates. But please keep in mind that this is an apples to oranges comparison, as the utility rates are for an electricity supply that is only 12% renewable. And for the majority of the CCA participants, it is for 50 or 100% New York State renewable. So now I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. Can you explain the 50% further? Does it just mean that 50% of the electricity comes from New York State and the rest comes from elsewhere? So it really, as you can see, the remainder comes from most likely from wind energy from out of state that is not tracked or verified by New York State. And it's not matched by New York State recs that are, but it is sourced from other US renewable electricity sources. So this option is not considered 100% renewable by New York State. Other questions? I know some of you came in quite late in the program, so maybe certainly glad to go back over it or address any questions that you came into it wanting to have answered. Just looking back to make sure. You should be able to unmute yourselves if you wanted to ask a question. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, a couple of people are thanking me and saying this is helpful. Thank you very much for the thank you. I do really appreciate that. And again, we will be doing more information sessions. Again, if the village decides to participate, again, they're just considering it at this time, considering participation. But Betsy, I see your hand, just one second. But we will be doing more information sessions, and at that point, we will have the rates, which makes it much more helpful in many ways. Betsy, did you have a question? Do you want to unmute yourself? Oh, I was trying to hit the chat. Okay. Okay. Thank you. I do appreciate the thank you. Thank you for this information. Great. I'm going to share the screen with the contact information, because I know that sometimes people.
Hi, I have a question.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that because I know some people joined quite late. So if people have questions afterward that occur to them after the program, but yes, I'll get back to your question in 1 second.
Well, I sent a chat and somehow it just didn't send apparently.
Okay.
And
So
I don't want this to be after. I want everyone to hear it because
okay,
this
no,
is a racket.
there, oh, okay. I will definitely give you time to talk. I just wanted to make sure in case people had questions afterwards, that they know that there's a helpline to call Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, but you can call out of hours and leave a message, 845-859-9099. There's also an email, info@hudsonvalleycommunitypower.com. And you can also check the website, which is hudsonvalleycommunitypower.com. And again, I just wanted to, I'll stop sharing. Okay, I know you wanted to speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to, truth to power here. First of all, I'm a village resident, have the good fortune being an American living overseas for 15 years, many of that in Western Europe. Number one, Peggy, who do you work for?
I work I explained at the beginning, I work for Jewel Community Power. Jewel Community Power is a division of Jewel Assets, which is the program administrator for the Central Hudson, I'm sorry, for the Hudson, I'm sorry, it's getting late. So it's for the Jewel Assets is the program administrator for the Hudson Valley Community Power Program.
And you're here as a spokesperson and teaching us or educating us, and you don't know if, what is it, Clear Source here is for profit or not?
No, I know Jewel Assets is not called Clear Source, okay? So I just want to distinguish
So
between,
they've contracted you out to what? Educate the so-called citizens?
no, I'm not a contractor. I'm an employee of Jewel Assets. I work for the program. I work for the program because I feel very
So
strongly
help
about,
me understand,
yeah.
if you could verbally give me an org chart here.
Okay.
How does it connect to its Clear Source, right?
No, it is not Clear Source. I'm not quite sure where you're getting Clear Source from.
Okay, so who hired who?
Okay.
Who's the
Okay. Okay.
bigger square on the org chart?
Okay.
The reason why asking this is,
Okay.
we're in the midst of what's been brewing, technically, as a historian, technically for 300 years, a plutocracy, an economic system based on plutocracy, with a few chapters of progressive enlightenment and having more citizens at the negotiating and economic table, but with great force by the plutocracy 300 years ago, 100 years ago, and let's go fast forward to more recent history, over the past 45 years, give or take, post World War II, where it doesn't matter who is running the show in our three branches of government, it has been nothing but neoliberal, ha ha ha, trickle down economic uh, ideology that has run this country, and a big contributor to the man in the White House now. And he's not a problem, he's the symptom. He's America's son. And I come from DC, used to work in the Senate, one president who we just buried, and who I have to acknowledge made his contribution to the deregulation of our whatever's left or whatever was there as a we. So, why, one, wake up, America. Wake
Okay.
up.
So I just want
We
to,
are now, no, I mean, this is really important because there's very few public forums where real, honest, grow up, mature, truth to power is allowed in this country.
okay, but I just want to, out of
And I will have to
consideration,
say, Fortis is a racket. They own the politicians, as Big Pharma does, Wall Street, which was
okay,
deregulated, tore up
I,
Glass-Steagall Act, and tore up under so-called progressive Bill
okay,
Clinton.
I do want to be
And
considerate.
I
Excuse
simply
me,
want to
I,
get
I
how
do
you
want
would
to,
not know if this organization's program that you're promoting, you don't know if it's for profit or not.
no, I did answer that question. Okay, I want to be considerate of everybody's time, so I just want to answer your questions as best I can as they pertain to this program, okay? So leave time for other people if they wanted to ask questions. So yes, I said right away that this is a for-profit company. I believe it's a private company, but
And what was
but
their
that's the part.
profits? What was their profit in 2024?
Okay, I don't handle
Mm-hmm.
the financials for the company. I don't have access to that. But I would imagine that whatever you would need would be posted on the website, which is jewelassets.com. So you
And
asked for,
how much is your CEO bringing in annually? And not just salary, because most CEOs are getting their money from stock dividends, free
okay,
planes, houses paid for.
okay,
So what is his compensation, which
okay.
is what is
So
referred? I used to work
let
at the
me, okay.
SCC, and
So
I had good friends who
okay,
was working at FERC in the height day of Enron collapsing with
okay. So
all the smoke and mirror.
Michelle, again, let me direct you to the website, jewelassets.com. Just very quickly, I would say that it's the decision of the village whether or not they want to participate in the program. Jewel Assets is considered to be, it is the Hudson Valley Community Power Program Administrator. Um, and they do lots of things. They negotiate on behalf of the community. They do outreach to the community to explain it
Are
to
citizens
the
at that
program.
table?
Our
Are
citizens,
consumers at that table?
are they at which table?
In the negotiating table?
Oh, no, the
Exactly,
village
which is
elected
why we need to
officials.
socialize this.
Okay,
I'm telling you, wake up, America.
okay. I just want to make sure that we leave time for everybody else's
Well,
questions or
I've been listening to
contributions.
everyone, and I got a headache. If this takes this much explaining, there's a problem.
Okay,
And I work for a
let's,
bureaucracy. And if
okay,
it takes 5 pages on how to do something, that's a red flag.
okay.
And I think we need progressive enrage because something is hitting the fan. It's been working down the pipeline, and the utility companies are right up there with big pharma, big banks, big everything. It's plutocracy.
Okay, I know,
And we
I hear
need
you.
to speak truth to power, including power's spokespeople. So, for
Yeah, I
someone who has been deep dive into FERC, which totally sold out like the FDA to the big utility and big drug companies, you
so
bet,
so
you bet
I
I'm going to be asking questions.
okay.
And I wish to God more Americans would start questioning, including the comfortable class of Rhinebeck.
Okay, let's keep it to the topic for this. I hear you, and I think you've effectively conveyed your feelings. But let's keep it to this, and I just want to open it up to other people as well to, to comment or to ask other questions. Are there other questions or comments at this time? And again, we'll be doing lots more outreach and information. The reason that we do so much is because it's important that people understand the program. It is, we're just trying to be as clear as possible, and sometimes there's a lot of repetition because, again, we're trying to be very clear and make sure that people, we know that it takes a little bit of, getting your mind around it to, you have to kind of hear it more than once sometimes to understand it. But again, the benefit of the program is the clean, renewable electricity supply, which is important to some of us, and the consumer protection, and I would say those are the two the two main benefits from the program. Other questions or comments? And if not, maybe it's getting close to 8. Was there anybody who joined late who felt that they missed part of the program? If you kind of dropped in the middle, I'm glad to go back over any of it. If there are no more questions or comments about this particular program, then again, you can always call the helpline or you can email the program. The helpline number is 845-859-9099. You can also find a lot of information on the website currently, which is Hudson Valley, www.hudsonvalleycommunitypower.com. And the email for the program, let me just make sure I get it right, is info@hudsonvalleycommunitypower.com. So if there are no more questions or comments, if anybody had a specific question that they still want it answered, again, please just email us or call us and we're glad to answer it. I'll give it one more minute and then if not, I just want to thank everybody for joining me this evening. I hope that it was helpful. And I'm glad that you didn't have to come out on a cold, icy night. We will be scheduling, by the way, we will be rescheduling the in-person meeting. We don't yet have those dates, but one possibility might be for a weekend early in March, which might be a little bit easier for people. So again, thank you for joining me this evening, and I hope it was helpful. Okay, thank you.